Get a good overview of both the river town and the river. Can you imagine being a little boy living in a town like this? I can.
That's because he is.
Yeah. From Hannibal, we traveled on the Great River Road to St. Charles, Missouri. Something really famous happened in St. Charles in 1804. Thomas Jefferson was the President of the United States at that time, and he had just purchased from the French a large portion of the land of the American continent. The part in brown on this map, it wasn't states yet. No white person had ever visited this land. So the brown part is what we're talking about here, which was west of the Mississippi River. So Jefferson appointed two explorers, Meriwether Lewis and William Clark, to explore that land, to create maps of the land, see what plants and animals grew there, and to get acquainted with the Native American tribes, Indians, who lived there. They did all of those things, sometimes even sending live and stuffed animals back to President Jefferson when they met trading boats going east. On May 21st of 1804, Lewis and Clark began their journey at St. Charles, Missouri. Both Lewis and Clark kept journals of everything they saw, and did so. We know lots about their journey. There are many books written about Lewis and Clark expedition, sometimes called the Voyage of Discovery. Whew, more interesting books for me to read. Do you see Flat Stanley in that picture? He's with Lewis and Clark's stuff. In St. Charles, there is a wonderful children's size, only one-room museum dedicated to teaching about the Lewis and Clark expedition. In this museum, we saw many stuffed animals and birds of the kinds of the explorers saw, a model of one of their camps, and a small model of the boat they used when they took off from St. Charles. Wandering around the museum, we saw something which looked really strange. Margie said she had never seen anything like it, so we took a picture, then read the description about it. Also looked it up on Wikipedia to get more information. Here is a picture of this strange item. It's called a bull boat, and this is a simple boat made out of bent willow trees and buffalo hide. Indian tribes and some of Lewis and Clark's explorers used these boats on their journeys. It's such fun to go to museums and see things which they never knew existed. Farming in Iowa. Hey Chase, there's piggies in this book. Iowa is known for farming. Our main products are corn, soybeans, and hogs. Margie and Jay's friend Merle and Merle Chase have a hog farm that we went to visit. They buy hogs when they weigh about 15 pounds, about 3 weeks old, and raise them in a huge building that looks like this. Some people call this a factory farm because the animals never get to go outside and play in the mud. 14 small pigs are put in a pen with a slanted floor and plenty of food and water. Air conditioning in the summer, and heat when it gets cold. Then they are given a flu shot to keep them healthy. Oh my goodness, look at Flat Stanley! He's on top of a pig!
Can I see?
When the pigs get a little bigger,
Chase
they are
would like
moved
to see
a
the
different
picture.
pen, and when they are nearly fully grown, they move again. Look at Flat Stanley.
Is Flat Stanley on a pig?
Is he on a pig?
Yeah.
Is Flat Stanley being funny? When they reach about 300 pounds, they are sold to a meat packing house where they are turned into bacon, ham, and pork chops. The place where
bacon,
the
ham,
hogs
and pork
are kept
chops.
is very stinky because pigs just go to the toilet wherever they are, and that stinky stuff flows through the slats in the floor. Farmer Merle then sucks out the stinky stuff and spreads it on his field with the big machine attached to his tractor. This saves them money because they don't have to buy fertilizer.
Hi.
Hi, buddy. Farmer Chase also raises corn. He attaches this planter to his tractor to plant 12 rows of corn at a time. Look how big the tire of the tractor is.
Where's me? Why doesn't Stanley?
Here's a picture of the planter. All of these big machines are stored in a huge barn on the farm property. To harvest the corn, farmers use this big machine called a combine. The thing that looks like fingers on the front of the machine bend down to the ground and go between the rows of corn.
Is that me?
Yet that's Flat Stanley. She spread the ears of corn from the stalk. When the machine husks the corn, cuts the kernels off the cob, and spits out the kernels of corn into a large wagon, like this green one. You can now see how big the combine is when we look at Margie climbing up into the cab. She took me into the driver's seat. That was fun, being so high, up so high.
I'm up so
Corn
high.
is used for lots of things. Farmer Chase grinds up his corn and adds vitamins to it to feed his hogs. They are about 1,000 hogs, so that takes a lot of food. Other parts of his corn is sold to a factory, which processes it into corn syrup, which is then used in food products. One day we looked at the food in our pantry shelf to see what foods had corn or corn syrup in them. We found cereal, cookies, crackers, and would you believe it? Ketchup! Some Iowa corn is made into ethanol. Ethanol is a product added to gasoline to make the supply of gasoline last longer. Since we can always grow more corn to produce more ethanol, it is called a source of sustainable energy. Most cars in our state run on a mixture of gas and ethanol. Here's a question I have in my mind. Is it more important to grow corn for ethanol or to feed people? Farms usually have storage bins to store the corn. They look like this. If a farm doesn't have enough room on his farm to store the corn, he can take it to a grain elevator. Almost every small town in Iowa has an elevator, not the kind you use in a tall building, and a water tower. Here are some pictures of the elevator and the water towers.
At the end, it's probably going to say when they're leaving.
Another kind of farm is a cattle farm. Margie's friend Ruth and Robert Harvey raised cattle. Once this past summer, a mother cow had twins and would only take care of one of them. So Ruth had to be the mother for the calf. The calf, which she called D-I-A-Z, Diaz, weighed 40 pounds when he was born. He had to be fed several times a day from a bottle, just like a baby. When Diaz was 12 weeks old, he could eat from a bucket. As he grew, he moved into the fields where the rest of the cows were. Now he weighs about 300 pounds. He still remembers Ruth was his mother, who gave him his bottle, so he runs to greet her. However, he is so heavy that he can knock her over if she doesn't get out of the way. When Diaz grows to 1,000 pounds, he will be sold to become steaks, hamburgers, and roast beef.
Steaks, hamburgers, and roast beef.
What a sad ending for Diaz. A third type of farm popular in Iowa is a wind farm. Iowa is the second largest producer of wind energy in the United States. Hundreds of these huge wind turbines are placed in the farm fields. They catch the wind and use it to produce electricity. Since there is always wind in Iowa, there is never-ending supply of wind energy. So you see, this state is very aware of energy needs of its citizens. There's the wind things. Time to go back to Phoenixville. One last adventure, then it's time to head back to Phoenixville. When I woke up the day after visiting to the Chase farm, it was Easter, and guess what? The Easter Bunny had been to Jay and Margie's house. He must have known I was there because they have no little kids. I found 4 eggs hidden around the house. One was in Jay's shoe, another was in Margie's coffee cup, a third was in the bathroom on the back of a toilet, and I looked and looked for the 4th and finally found it on what Margie calls her bulldog shelf in the dining room. Look, the bulldog, there's an egg.
That's where the
Hey,
egg
look.
came from.
A picture of you.
Chase, stop, please.
As I finish writing this, Jay and Margie are already moving on to their next activity, which is planting a large vegetable garden. It would have been fun to help them and to watch the vegetables grow, but it's time to go home. I had a really good, busy time in Iowa, but I'm glad to be going back to Phoenixville and to Chloe's school. Wow, what do you think of that? It's a big book. Did you learn a lot about Iowa?
Do you want to tell Aunt Margie and Uncle Jay anything while I have the video running? I have an idea what you could tell them. Maybe thank them for everything they did with Flat Stanley.
Yeah.
Can you tell them?
Thank you.
That
For
was
doing the project for you?
For doing Flat Stanley.
that was a pretty cool book. What was your favorite part?
I like the whole thing. I don't have a favorite part.
You know what my favorite part was when Flat Stanley was in the pool holding on to the noodle so he wouldn't fall in. I thought that was pretty cool.
We didn't get it
I
on.
thought it was cool when he went the book one when he took a shortcut to the book and he,
Oh, on that roller coaster
Yeah.
ride? Yeah.
We didn't get it on video, but I like the part at the beginning with the cheerleaders. With Flat Stanley with the cheerleaders.
Oh, and that cheerleader that was trying to kiss him.
yeah.
That was pretty funny. Looked like Flat Stanley had a good
Oh,
time.
you know what's funny when Flat Stanley tried to get up into the head.
Oh, yeah, the mascot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think Mrs. Hausman's going to think of this? You think she's going to read the book?
Maybe.
I think she's going to read the book.
Yeah.
It'll probably take a little bit of time to read it to the whole class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking just read parts of it.
Oh, just read parts of it?
Wait.
Yeah.
Mrs. Hausman might even want a copy of that book.
That's a lot of good information about Iowa.
We might have to contact Aunt Margie and Uncle Jay and ask them who their publisher is. and what kind of royalties we'll owe if we copy the book.
You think? I think Flat Stanley had a good time.
Tell me look at the pictures.
Yeah, we can
All right, look at the pictures again. Thank you, Aunt Margie and Uncle Jay.
Thank you, Aunt Margie and Uncle Jay. You did a really good job. A+.